heroes. But here he goes after the Naga, and I guess he commits to it a little too far because he's going to lose a couple Dryads to this. The Naga does get away, which is unfortunate for Soju, but I guess it's kind of good for Todd. Also, his Archmage is kind of getting in a bad position, and personally I'd be summoning a Water Elemental right now. Oh, he does. Because a whole bunch of Soju's units really don't have much mana. Magna. They don't have much mana, so they won't be able to dispel Water Elementals and such as easily. And now Todd has also regained really nice positioning on this Naga. He might be able to get this kill. I'm pretty sure he does because he has his Boots of Speed. But the Demon Hunter... Ooh, the bear comes in at the right time just to save the Demon Hunter. Unfortunately, with bears, they kind of lose mana quickly. So the Naga's going to die, unfortunately. Just because of slow movement speed. There, it would have come in handy to have those Boots of Speed. Really nice around with the peasants. Quick thinking. Also, Spellbreakers are pretty essential at Tier 2 because when bears do come in play and they use the rejuvenation, you want to be able to steal that and use it to your own advantage. Sure, you won't get the right units that you want to have the rejuve, but it's just nice to not have to deal with the Demon Hunter and its massive imbalance. Todd gets some good creeping done. He really needs level 2 on his Naga. Level 3 is always nice anyways, but Soju's going to keep up his harassment, which is a good idea because if you let that expo get up too easily, which is kind of what he does, it just makes it so much more difficult to win a game because you haven't done anything to hinder the amount of money that they get out or the advantage that they can gain out of it. Also, Bloodlusted Rifleman, always awesome. Very fast attack speed with 24 damage is impressive. The one thing about Spellbreakers that you want to watch, though, is that you want to actually learn the hotkeys. Like, for me, it's T for the steal spell thing, because a lot of people will just cast Roar, and then you'll be stealing the Roar, and it really doesn't do much for your army. All it really does is reduce the amount of Roar that they have, and you're better off just upgrading Dispel for your priests. Also, Soju is going to be using a Pit Lord in this game. He gets it kind of late. I guess he wanted to level up his heroes, which is a good idea, because if you don't have level 3 Demon Hunter, you're not going to be able to neutralize his Nagasi, which is effectively. So Todd gets an Arcane Tower up at his expo, does some nice repair job. I guess this kind of ends the harassment era for Soju. Especially because Soju's losing such a hero advantage right now, because Todd is at 4 and 2 for both of his heroes, and Soju's only at 3. Oh, he's at 3-3 now. But with the creeping advantage, you don't just lose hero experience, you also lose the ability to get some awesome items. Such as this Naga's picked up a Potion of Invulnerability and a Ring of Regen, and I guess the hero's picked up a Flute of Accuracy, which is actually probably one of the better units that you want to have with your human army, because you're mostly going to be massing Riflemen, and if you are staying at Tier 2, your Breakers do gain from that advantage. Soju's going to continue his harass on the main base, because the Expo seems rather hard to take down with an Arcane Tower, so I guess it's kind of a good move to harass and make sure that Todd's worrying about more than one thing at once, but such is life. He is a pro player. It's not really going to make as much of a difference. So Soju's creeping at a red camp. What he should be doing is try and counter Todd's expansion with his own expansion, especially because at this point in the game, Todd has such an economic advantage, but he doesn't have any wood, so he won't be able to spend as much money. Of course, Soju doesn't know that, but Todd also doesn't have the ability to effectively go after his base. I mean, he does have a lot of small units. See, the Roar being taken from the bear just really doesn't add much. It just removes from the ability to take away from the Demon Hunter. It's kind of bad. Soju got some nice positioning on that Sorceress, especially right now because Todd decides to TP out, which is a waste of 350 gold, and that pretty much pays for your own expansion as the Night Elf player, so you might as well set one up. Todd really can't push his base right now. All he has is 53 food, and you really can't end a game, or Todd only has 67 food, and you can't really end a game in a Night Elf space with the upgraded Moonwells. Upgraded Moonwells, so underrated. So many more people need to get that. It adds to regen, which is like 3 more mana per second. Oh, here Todd decides to lose some units to creeping. But yeah, about the Moonwells. It adds 3 mana regen per second. It can pretty much heal a Metamorph Demon Hunter with 2 full Moonwells. And Metamorph Demon Hunter is hell to deal with anyways. So you're pretty much doing yourself a favor and getting that 125 gold upgrade or whatever it is. Bloodlusted Naga Sea Witch, also pretty awesome with that spell steal. Nice use of slow with Taz multitasking here to slow down the Demon Hunter and make him have to run away. The Naga will die apparently, which isn't good. I guess it's kind of a bad decision move by Soju to run around with a Demon Hunter with no way to get out if he slows you. His Pit Lord is out, level 2. Usually you want to get your Pit Lord to level 3. What it's really good for is the Rain of Fire. If you use the Howl of Terror, they can use the Spell Breakers, and they can also dispel it. So really what you want to do is go for the cleaving attack and hope that your AoE damage with the Pit Lord actually kind of pays off, which it usually doesn't. It's kind of a weak spell. It's like the pansy of all Pit Lord spells. Howl of Terror is good against, I guess, certain army compositions. Something like, I don't know, Knights and Griffins. This is something that I sometimes use. It's kind of to counter mass bears. But if they do have things like priests that are upgraded, which Todd doesn't have an upgraded priest, but he does have a bunch of breakers to make up for it, then it's a good thing to do. See, if you do decide to go to Tier 3 as a human player, you will want to research, I guess, your priest upgrades, just because it's kind of like... it's kind of an armor upgrade with a damage upgrade, which is a lot cheaper. It only costs mana, and all you have to do is cast it before you enter an enemy's base, and then it makes them have to worry about dispelling more things than your summons. A common strategy that I've seen is to go Archmage, Firelord, and Naga, not in that particular order, but it's mostly for summons and tower pushes. And really, if you do go Firelord, all you're really using your summons for after a while is to remove the abolish magic that the Dryads have to their ability to be able to make up for other spells that you have with you, such as Slow or Inner Fire. Personally, I adore Inner Fire. It's one of my favorite spells. I use it against Orc a lot. I guess that's a different story and a different matchup, so I won't go into that. Also, Tier 3 is just great because it gives them more to think about. It makes them have to worry about the fact that you might be getting Griffins, or you might be getting Knights, or you might be getting things like Polymorph, which I guess isn't as effective. But the most effective thing that you can probably get with Todd's current army composition is the Fragment Shards. Just adds a lot more AoE damage for those mortar teams, which are already a pain for a whole bunch of Night Elf players. Really, all you can do to counter them is use your Pit Lord and hope that you can snipe them down easily enough. Pretty much it's all downhill for Soju. If he had made that decision pretty much at Tier 2 to set up his expo, this would have been a much longer game, in my opinion. It just allows Soju to be able to purchase more items, maybe actually get a TP, maybe match Todd's army. I don't know. Either way, it would have been a lot harder for Todd to win because he really never had enough of an advantage to actually end the game, especially when he decided to TP away from Soju and head out to creep near his base, because and this is another thing, watching people's creeping patterns is kind of an effective way to find out how much of an advantage that they think they have, which gives you a psychological advantage, because if they don't think they have an advantage, you should be okay to be able to set up an expo without them doing anything about it. Right now, Soju kind of has pretty good positioning on the human player, although his Dryads really aren't doing any damage output, so he's losing a lot out of this battle. Nice use of Fairy Dragons. One of the most important units in the Night Elf army versus human, I find, are these Fairy Dragons. Especially, the Naga uses the Frost Arrows all the time, especially when it's auto-casted, so you gain damage off of that. Makes it so much more of a pain to micro your heroes, because you're having to worry about the damage output coming from their units and the Fairy Dragons. Also, your slow becomes less effective, and your heal just kind of screws you over. So, Soju says good game. Actually, if you look at the hero or the unit stats, it's kind of a close game, but if you look at hero kills, it's not very good.